Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're diving into some really interesting stuff today, remote management,
Yeah.
specifically for small and medium businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We've been getting a lot of questions about this recently,
Yeah, seems to be a hot topic.
and you've sent us a really fascinating stack of materials
Yeah.
all about this. So we've got like a review of good practices in remote management. This one's from 2022.
Okay.
We've got a report on SME readiness for remote work.
Uh-huh.
This is from 2023.
Uh-huh.
And we've even got a full-blown training curriculum called Remote Management for SMEs. This one's also from 2022.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
But you know what? By the end of this deep dive,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you'll not only be up to speed on the latest thinking, but
Mhm.
you'll also have some concrete takeaways to consider for your work.
That's right.
Whether you're leading a team part of one or just curious about this whole big shift in how we work.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, let's get into it.
One of the key takeaways from that review of good practices is that remote work is here to stay.
It really is.
It's not just a pandemic blip.
Mm-hmm.
This is backed by McKinsey research.
Right. They were cited in the report,
Mm-hmm.
and their research suggests that this is the long haul.
So no more thinking of it as a temporary fix.
Nope. This is the real deal now. Companies, especially SMEs, can't just wing it anymore. They need to be strategic about this.
When we say strategic, it's not just about, letting people work in their pajamas.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about fundamentally rethinking how teams function,
Mm-hmm.
how managers lead,
Right.
how performance is measured.
That impacts everything.
It really does. The report gets really honest about the downsides of remote work, too.
It does.
It's not all sunshine and flexible hours.
Right.
So there's some serious challenges for remote workers.
Yeah, for sure.
The report highlights 3 in particular.
Okay.
And I think these are things all of us can relate to, whether we're managing a team or part of one.
Mm-hmm.
So first, you've got affiliation. How do you, as a remote worker, feel connected to your team?
Yeah, that can be tough.
It's tougher to build those bonds virtually.
Much tougher.
Then there's visibility, out of sight, out of mind.
Unfortunately, sometimes. Yeah.
The report warns that remote workers can miss out on opportunities
Mm-hmm.
because they're not physically there.
Right. They don't get to participate in those impromptu conversations or run into the right people in the hallway.
Exactly. And then this third one is kind of subtle but dangerous.
Oh, yeah. This one's a biggie.
Marginalization.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that?
Well, think about it. When decisions are made in those hallway chats that you're not part of,
Oh.
it's easy to feel sidelined.
Yeah, you're out of the loop.
Exactly. And that can lead to resentment
Hmm.
and ultimately impact team performance.
And innovation and even company culture.
Absolutely. This isn't just about individual workers feeling bummed out.
Right.
This can have serious consequences for the entire organization.
Now, the review of good practices doesn't let managers off the hook either. In fact, it makes it clear that managing remote teams is harder in a lot of ways.
It is in many ways.
There's this real balancing act that managers have to perform.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you as a manager balance giving remote workers autonomy with making sure they're not forgotten
That's great.
or falling behind?
Right. You don't want to micromanage,
No.
but you also don't want them to feel isolated.
And then how do you ensure equity when some tasks just have to be done on site?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That can breed resentment, for sure.
For sure. Some people might feel like they're missing out.
And the report really emphasizes the need for more frequent, shorter check-ins with remote workers
Yes, regular communication is key.
instead of those once-a-year performance reviews,
Exactly.
which, might not be very effective
Not anymore.
for remote workers.
Right, because they don't capture the day-to-day reality of remote work.
And this is where training becomes so important.
It really does. The Re.Ma curriculum hits on this directly.
So let's get practical. This Re.Ma curriculum isn't just some theoretical mumbo-jumbo.
No, it's very hands-on.
It breaks down exactly what skills managers need to develop.
And provides practical tools and techniques.
And it's organized into these 4 modules.
Okay.
Module 1 is all about remote work practices.
Okay, what's in that one?
So like evaluating candidates for a remote position.
Right, because the skills you need for a remote role might be different.
Then for an on-site role.
Exactly.
Exactly. Then there's setting up a proper workspace.
Oh, that's important.
Thinking about productivity and health.
Ergonomics and all that.
Exactly. Module 2 is all about managing remote teams.
Okay.
This one's all about embracing asynchronous communication.
So it's not just about responding to emails quickly.
It's more nuanced than that.
It's about setting clear expectations
Mm-hmm.
and processes for communication that work for everyone regardless of location.
Or time zone.
Right.
Then there's Module 3.
What's that one?
This is about remote adaptation processes. There's this tool for assessing an organization's maturity.
Maturity.
Yeah, for remote work.
Oh, I like that.
It's a great reality check for companies.
To see where they stand.
Exactly. And finally, Module 4 is all about culture and values.
This is the big one.
It is. This module is about adjusting company values to empower a remote team.
This is where so many companies stumble.
They try to force their old ways of doing things
Yeah, the old culture.
into a remote setting, and it just doesn't work.
It doesn't, you need a different approach.
Now, for the really interesting part.
Okay, hit me with it.
That report on SME readiness
Yeah.
paints a pretty sobering picture.
Really? How so?
We'll get this, a whopping 77% of SMEs surveyed either had DORA and no documented procedures for remote work
Wow.
or hadn't fully developed them.
That's a huge red flag.
It is. If companies are going to make remote work sustainable, they need to get serious about structure and support.
Yeah, that lack of documentation suggests it's still being treated as a temporary fix.
Exactly, and as we've discussed, remote work is here to stay.
Right, it's the future of work.
So companies need to adapt.
Absolutely.
So we talked about some pretty big challenges for remote workers in that last section.
We did.
But you know what I'm really curious about is how you measure success for a remote worker.
Yeah, that's a good question.
When all those traditional metrics,
Uh-huh.
like FaceTime, no longer apply.
Right, because you can't just look around the office and see who's there late.
Exactly.
Well, this is something that the review of good practices actually addresses.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they suggest that those traditional performance reviews might not be the most effective way
Oh, interesting.
to evaluate remote workers anymore.
I see what you mean, those once-a-year formal reviews.
Yeah,
They don't really capture the nuances of remote work.
not at all.
So what do they suggest instead?
Well, the report emphasizes the importance of regular, shorter check-ins with remote workers.
Okay.
More frequent, but shorter.
So instead of like waiting a whole year,
Exactly.
you're checking in maybe every week or...
Yeah, it could be weekly, could be
Yeah.
bi-weekly.
Right.
Just more frequent touch points.
I like that.
Yeah. And this allows managers to provide more timely feedback,
Makes sense.
address issues as they arise, and get a better sense of how the employee is actually performing.
Instead of relying on those outdated metrics.
Right. It's about focusing on outcomes and contributions.
So you're shifting the focus from being seen in the office
Right.
to the actual work that's being done.
Exactly. It's about trusting your employees to get the job done regardless of where or when they're working.
And that trust is so important,
It's paramount.
especially in a remote environment.
Absolutely. You need to build that foundation of trust.
And it goes both ways, right?
Of course.
Employees need to trust that their managers
Yeah.
have their backs, even when they're not physically present.
Exactly. And that's where the Re.Ma training comes in again. It provides a roadmap
Nice.
for building that trust and establishing effective communication channels within a remote team.
So it's not just like a skills upgrade.
Nope.
For managers.
It's more holistic than that.
But it's also a way to foster a better remote work culture overall.
Exactly. It starts with understanding the fundamentals of remote work, the benefits, the challenges, the different models that companies can adopt.
Oh, right. Because there are different ways to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Not all remote work is created equal.
Right. Some companies are fully remote,
Some are hybrid.
and some are still trying to figure it all out.
And the Re.Ma training acknowledges all of that.
It does. It highlights the different types of remote teams.
Remember that from the curriculum.
Yeah, it's really helpful because managing a fully remote team requires a different approach
Oh, for sure.
than managing a hybrid team.
Where some people are in the office and others are remote.
Exactly. And the curriculum stresses the importance of setting clear expectations from the very beginning.
Okay, so like what kind of expectations?
Things like communication protocols.
How often do you check in?
Yeah, how do you communicate urgent issues?
Okay.
Expected work hours.
Do people need to be online 9 to 5 or...
Right, or can they have more flexibility?
And how performance goals will be measured,
Exactly. It's all about clarity and transparency.
which are even more crucial
Absolutely.
when you're not interacting face-to-face every day.
Right, you can't just pop into someone's office to clarify something.
And of course, technology plays a key role
It does.
in all of this.
Absolutely, Re.Ma. Emphasizes the importance of providing remote workers with the tools and tech
Makes sense.
they need to be productive.
Can't expect people to do their best work
Yes.
if they're battling with bad internet or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Investing in the right infrastructure is crucial.
But it's not just about the tech, right?
Right, it's also about the human element.
So Re.Ma addresses that too.
Oh yeah, they dedicate an entire module to building rapport, fostering team spirit.
Oh, that's great.
and making sure remote workers feel included.
It's so easy for remote workers to feel isolated,
It is.
especially if the company doesn't make an effort
It takes conscious effort.
to keep people connected.
Right. Managers need to be proactive.
About scheduling virtual team-building activities
Yeah, encouraging informal communication.
and celebrating successes together.
Exactly. It's all about creating that sense of belonging even when people are physically dispersed.
Which brings us back to that big question.
Uh-huh.
Is remote work a trend, or is it here to stay?
The million-dollar question.
What do you think?
Well, if we look at the research,
The data,
the data seems to suggest that remote work is here to stay.
at least in some capacity.
Yeah, probably not going away completely.
We talked about that McKinsey study.
Right.
They projected that a significant portion of the workforce
Mm-hmm.
would continue to work remotely,
Even after the pandemic.
even after the pandemic subsided.
And there are a lot of good reasons for that.
Like what?
Well, cost savings for one.
Oh, yeah? Companies can save money on office space.
Exactly. And then access to a wider talent pool.
You're not limited by geography anymore.
Right. You can hire the best person for the job no matter where they live.
And, of course, the potential for better work-life balance.
Absolutely. More flexibility, more time with family, less commuting.
But as we've discussed, there are downsides, too.
Definitely.
The challenges of staying connected, maintaining visibility,
Avoiding marginalization.
those are all real concerns.
And then there's the potential for burnout
oh, yeah, digital burnout.
and the blurring of boundaries between work and personal life.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is.
So it's a complex issue
Very complex.
with no easy answers.
Nope.
It sounds like the future of work is likely to be hybrid,
I think that's the most likely scenario. Yeah.
with a mix of remote and on-site work.
Depending on the company and the role.
Exactly. Some jobs just can't be done remotely.
Right.
But the key is for companies to be intentional
Absolutely.
about how they design their work arrangements
And to provide the support and resources their employees need.
to succeed regardless of location.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the importance of training and development.
Like Re.Ma.
Yes, Re.Ma seems like a valuable tool for companies that are serious about making remote work truly work.
So it's not just about allowing people to work from home.
It's about creating a sustainable and thriving remote work culture.
And that requires a shift in mindset,
Absolutely.
both for companies and individuals.
Right. Both sides need to adapt.
Okay, so let's talk about mindset then.
Let's do it.
What kind of mindset
Mm-hmm.
do you need to thrive in a remote work environment?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore more deeply in the next part of our deep dive.
Ooh, a cliffhanger.
It's not just about the practical skills and strategies.
Okay.
It's about cultivating the right attitude and beliefs
I'm intrigued.
to navigate the unique challenges and opportunities of remote work.
I can't wait to dive into that.
Me either.
Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle this whole mindset thing.
Yeah, mindset is key.
It really is.
Yeah.
We've talked about the practical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know,
The strategies,
it all comes down to mindset.
it does. You
Yeah.
can have all the right tools and techniques.
But if you don't have the right mindset,
It's not going to work.
it won't.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the ideal remote work mindset look like?
Well, one of the most important elements is something called a growth mindset.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It's the idea that your abilities aren't fixed. You can always learn and grow.
So it's not about thinking, I'm either good at this or I'm not,
Exactly. It's about embracing challenges as opportunities to learn.
which is so important in a remote environment.
It is, because you're constantly facing new challenges.
Learning new tech tools.
Figuring out how to collaborate across time zones.
And if you have that fixed mindset,
The belief that your intelligence is set in stone.
you're more likely to get discouraged.
Yeah. Or avoid taking risks.
But with a growth mindset, you're more open to feedback.
To trying new things.
Yeah.
To seeing those bumps in the road as part of the learning process.
And that's got to be valuable for any kind of work,
Absolutely.
but especially remote work where you're often figuring things out on your own.
For sure. And another key aspect of this mindset is self-awareness.
Okay.
It's even more crucial when you're working remotely because you don't have those constant face-to-face interactions.
cues.
The cues, exactly. So you need to be more aware of your own communication style,
How you work best.
how you manage your time and energy.
So self-awareness in a remote context means,
It means understanding your strengths and weaknesses,
okay,
how your actions impact others even when you're not physically present.
because even a quick email
Oh, yeah.
can be misinterpreted
Easily.
if you're not careful.
So how do you boost self-awareness?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, reflection is key. Take time to think about what went well, what could have been better, and what you learned.
So like at the end of the day,
Could be at the end of the day, could be at the end of the week.
just take a few minutes.
Yeah. To reflect.
And don't be afraid to ask for feedback.
Especially from colleagues who work remotely with you.
They might pick up on things.
That you don't even realize.
It's all about perspective.
It is. And then there's the whole issue of resilience.
Ooh, yeah.
Remote work will have its ups and downs.
It's like any job.
Exactly. But resilient people are able to bounce back from those setbacks.
Learn from them.
And keep moving forward.
So it's not about avoiding challenges altogether.
No, you can't avoid them.
But it's about having the tools
to deal with them when they inevitably pop up.
So how do you build resilience?
Well, self-care is huge.
Like what kind of self-care?
Things like getting enough sleep,
Okay.
eating well, exercising.
The basics.
The basics. They all help you manage stress.
Yeah.
And then building a strong support network is crucial.
Having people you can turn to.
Colleagues, friends, family, even a mentor.
Makes a big difference.
It does. Community is so important.
Whether you're working remotely or in an office.
Absolutely. We're not meant to do this alone.
So we've got growth mindset, self-awareness, and resilience.
It's a trifecta.
And those seem like pretty valuable traits.
They are.
Even outside of work.
Oh, absolutely. These are fundamental life skills.
That can help you approach any challenge.
With more confidence and effectiveness.
Well, this deep dive has been packed with insights.
It has.
We've explored the long-term nature of remote work.
The challenges, the strategies, the mindset.
It feels like we've come full circle.
We have. And I think the takeaway is this.
Okay.
The world of work is changing. And remote work is a big part of that change.
It is.
Whether you're leading a team part of one or just curious about this shift, understanding the nuances of remote management is going to be key to your success.
And it's not just about the company adapting.
It's about individuals embracing this new way of working.
Developing new skills.
Cultivating that resilient, growth-oriented mindset.
Beautifully said. And to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and remember, you're not alone on this journey. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the resources we mentioned today, plus some additional reading. And until next time, happy diving.